everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Studio Pilates. My name's Hannah and today I want to take you through a really lovely Pilates workout that's all mat based, that's going to help to make you feel more positive, really kind of get your body moving and mobilising, and I hope you really find it beneficial. You can fit this into any part of your day. So we're going to do threading the needle. This is a really nice thoracic rotation, so mid-spine rotation exercise. It's also good for building strength in those shoulders and also working those core muscles. So we are coming into a box position. Really important your wrist stays under your shoulder and your knee stays under your hip, and you're going to tilt your pelvis so that tailbone is pointing off behind you. Now if this is uncomfortable on your wrist, you can make a fist instead. If your knees don't like being knelt on, you could put something softer underneath them as well. So we're holding it here, eye line stays down, pelvic floor engaged, taking an inhale. Then exhale. Remember, you're sending that breath down your body. You're going to bring that right arm through the gap between your left arm and leg. Stretch out through that right arm. Take an inhale, then exhale. Bring that arm back and gently place it back under your right shoulder. Holding in the middle for an inhale. And exhale. Stretching that arm through the gap, making sure your hip doesn't lean backwards and get a nice beard from your hair. Hold it here for an inhale and then exhale. Slowly bring that arm back. Check in with your wrists. Have you put them under your shoulders or are they now a little bit further forward? Taking an inhale in the middle, zipping up that pelvic floor. Exhale. Rotating through that mid-spine, stretching out through the arm, hold it. And then exhale. Back to the centre, gently placing that hand back on the floor. Hold in the middle for an inhale. And exhale. Through the gap, stretching out through your left fingers. And then exhale. Back to the centre. We're going to do one more to each side like this. So holding in the middle, take an inhale. Exhale. Through the gap, stretching out through your right hand. Pelvic floor engaged, core is on. And then exhale. Back to the centre. Final one here, eye line down, pelvic floor on. Inhale, exhale. Through the gap, stretching through those fingers. Make sure your hip stays over your knee. Inhale and exhale. Back to the centre. Okay, so we're going to add on taking the opposite leg out now. Now if this isn't quite right for you yet, you can continue with what we have just been doing. So I'm going to take my left leg out, stick my left toes to the floor. Core engaged. Going to take an inhale. Exhale. Take the arm through the gap between your left arm and leg. Hold for an inhale. And then this time on the exhale, I'm going to bring that arm in line with my shoulder, rotate through that mid-spine and look to the ceiling. Hold for an inhale. And then exhale. Fingers come back down. Hip comes back up. Leg comes back in, and it should be like your foot has never been gone, so you shouldn't kind of feel like you're rolling back into place. It should be a nice gentle movement back in. So right leg goes out now, belly button to spine, pelvic floor on. Exhale through the gap, hold for an inhale, and then exhale, arm in line with your shoulder, rotate through that mid spine, look to your fingers. Inhale. And then exhale, arm comes back down, and then just gently bringing that knee back in like it's never been gone. Holding it here for an inhale. Exhale, through the gap, holding it here for an inhale. And then exhale, arm in line, and rotate. Oh, that leg should be out. Hold for an inhale. And then exhale. bringing it back down. So taking the leg out allows you to get a really nice rotation. If you don't take that leg out like I just did then by accident, you find it difficult to rotate because your hip is kind of holding you more in place. If you take that leg out, it allows you to kind of extend up. So holding here, take an inhale, exhale, through the gap, hold for an inhale, exhale, and rotate, holding it here. So because that hip has dropped, you can rotate through that mid-spine a lot easier. Hold it here for an inhale, and then exhale, arm comes down, and leg comes back in. Goes to one more to each side, taking an inhale in the middle, exhale, leg goes out, through the gap, hold for an inhale, and then exhale, arm comes in line with your shoulder, rotate to the ceiling, look to it for an inhale, and then exhale, arm comes down, hip comes back up, leg comes back in. Other side, take an inhale in the middle, then exhale. As you rotate, you're taking that leg out, so trying to kind of flow the two movements into one. Inhale, exhale, up to the ceiling, hold for an inhale, and exhale, back down, hip comes back round, leg comes back in. From here, you're going to take your knees out wide and sit yourself back into your wide knee child's pose, just pulling your shoulder blades down your back, keeping your head off the mat, so think about having a nice long neck, stretching those shoulder blades down your back, so you're coming onto the mat. And the first thing we need to think about is our setup. So your feet should be hip distance apart and your knees are staying in line with your hips and your feet. So make sure your knees aren't falling into the middle. If they are, you can always place a cushion between them for some exercises, but not for the one we are about to do. Next, thinking about your ribs. So ribs need to be in line with your hips, and if you kind of just lie on the floor naturally and just kind of sink into the floor, you'll probably find that your ribs are above your hips. So what you need to do is think about pulling them down towards your hips, and then they'll be in line. A little gap remains under that lower back. Then to engage that TVA, you need to think about that belt. So we're drawing that belt up to the third hole. Feel your waist getting smaller, zipping up those pelvic floor muscles, holding it there. Going to bring one leg to tabletop. So knee comes through over your hip, shin is parallel with the ceiling. Arms are just resting on the floor, so try not to carry any tension in that upper body. Then from here, you're going to point your toe to the ceiling, flex your foot towards your face so you get a little bit of a calf stretch, point your toe back to the ceiling, come back to tabletop, and then moving from your hip, not from your knee, you're going to bring that leg back to the floor. Then we're going to do the other side, so core on, rib to hip connection, lifting to tabletop, knee over hip, shin parallel with the ceiling. Going to lift, flex to your face, point back to the ceiling, back to tabletop, move from your hip back to the floor. If you want to make it more challenging, you can bring both legs into your tabletop. So then you'll point to the ceiling, flex to your face, point to the ceiling, back to tabletop. Then moving from your hip, you'll just go back to the floor and tap. As you do that, make sure the opposite leg stays in place and doesn't move any closer. So check in with that opposite leg. Keep thinking rib to hip connection, pelvic floor engaged, zipping up those pelvic floor muscles. And let your back arch or your belly dome. Keep everything nice and still in that center. Make sure you're doing nice wide thoracic breaths, pushing the breath down your body as you exhale, feeling that connection with your pelvic floor. Thinking belly button to spine, rib to hip connection. Let that back arch or belly dome. Make sure you're moving from your hip as you tap. Really flexing that foot to get a really nice calf stretch in that top movement. So nice flex, point, back, move from your hip. We're going to do 2 more on each side. Keeping everything else nice and still, just working through that leg, core on. So final 1 to each side now, either single or double leg, depending on what you're doing. And then from here, you're going to bring 1 leg down and 2 legs down and give yourself a full body stretch. Thanks for joining my Positivity Pilates workout today. I hope you found it really beneficial. Check out my playlists for other videos you can do from wherever you are, whenever you like. Bye for now.